Now we know how to use stirred cell for the step we are considering. Let us see how many designs are there of model contactor, which should definitely have the two features which I have been repeating. So, the next one is, this is rotating drum. So, there is a pool of liquid in which drum is rotating, but somewhere here there is the contact between gas and liquid. This is entirely gas, and the contact between gas and liquid occurs between this liquid film and the gas. As it rotates, it catches the liquid film, but on this side there is a cover and there is no gas liquid contact. So, the length of this arc multiplied by the length of the cylinder is the interfacial area which is known, and KL can be varied by changing the rotational speed of the drum. Right. So, this is another model contactor called rotating drum. Clear? Liquid, this is the pool, below that is a liquid. Whenever drum rotates, it catches liquid film, some drainage of course occurs, but liquid film remains on the rotating cylinder, and when it enters the liquid again, then it mixes with that liquid, and when it comes again from the other side, again a liquid film is formed. Which one?
Mercury seal.
Yeah. So, this is the seal. So, there is an opening through which shaft enters, correct, no? And the gas is coming and gas is going, and we do not want any leakage. If we are studying air oxidation and if air leaks, of course, we do not mind about it, but if you are studying chlorination or hydrobromination or ozonolysis, we want one inlet, one outlet, and both are controlled. We do not want any leakage. So, mercury seal is used for the shaft, and that particular gap between shaft and the nozzle is sealed by mercury. This is called wetted wall column. Wetted wall column. In this cylinder, overall cylinder, there is a gas. This is filled with gas, all right. Whereas there is one inlet, there is an outlet. Liquid comes, there is a hollow pipe here, and liquid enters here, goes up, and it overflows here and flows outside the pipe as a film, and the contact between gas and liquid is pi times d times L, that is the area of contact which is known. That makes it, that satisfies one characteristic, that interfacial area is known, and by changing the liquid flow rate or liquid velocity, the film velocity, by changing film velocity, we vary the mass transfer coefficient. So, that is third model contactor, right. Next, like wetted wall, this is wetted sphere, the same principle. Here the liquid comes from the top, and on the sphere there is a liquid inlet, forms a film on the sphere, then falls on the second sphere and third sphere, and finally it is collected at the bottom. So, the pi d square is the area of each sphere. If there are 3 spheres, we know how much is the interfacial area, and mass transfer coefficient is varied with the help of liquid flow rate. The next is laminar jet, most probably laminar jet. So, this is liquid inlet. There is a gas in this portion in the entire cylinder, and there is a outlet of the liquid, there is a nozzle, and liquid flows out in the form of a liquid jet, and there is a receiver for liquid, and it is received in such a way that there is no gas entrainment here. So, gas liquid contacts happens only in this jet area, and we know that pi d L is interfacial area, and by changing the velocity of jet we get mass transfer coefficient variation, and this is called as a model contactor. So, stirred cell, rotating drum, wetted wall, wetted sphere, and laminar jet. All right. So, you know these contactors. This equipment, which is called stirred contactor, is to be used only for first regime, where you know that interfacial area knowledge is not required. It is used to be for where it takes hours for the reaction, and where it is a good idea to have more and more intense agitation, so that KLa can be increased to the extent that we want. If you want to increase 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, then the speed can be varied up to 1000, 2000. We can change the impeller. There need not be the stationary interface. We don't need the knowledge of interfacial area. So, let it be any interfacial area, any KL. The condition that the reaction prevails in the regime 1 is satisfied, and for all those purposes we use the stirred reactor. If we go back to the stirred cell, the same equipment can be used for liquid-liquid contacting. Now, we are moving from gas liquid to liquid-liquid, and then we want to move to solid liquid and solid gas and all that. So, let us move to liquid-liquid. There is a heavy liquid phase and there is a light liquid phase. So, this is a light liquid, this is heavy liquid. The only difference which is made is now the impeller in the light phase is also paddle type, and in the heavy liquid is also paddle type. Correct? And another difference is both the impellers, the speed can be varied independently. The speed can be varied independently. So, these two provisions are made for liquid-liquid contacting. So, that is also called stirred cell. Now, it is likely that take anything, any reaction, say sulfonation or nitration or hydrolysis, alkylation, acylation, large number of reactions are there, which I have promised yesterday that I am going to tell you a list of 200 reactions at least, but I will flash like this. This is something, once hydrogenation starts, hydrogenation of triple bond to double bond to single bond, nitro to amino, CN group to CH2NH2, and ring hydrogenation. So, you take toluene, carry out isobutylene reaction and hydrogenate it, and you get a nice perfume. Yesterday I gave you paracetamol, no? So, today perfume. But remember, the unit processes, they do not change whether we are doing one product or another. How many unit processes we have been talking about, and now I will ask you, each row will tell me at least 5 unit processes. I am telling you 5 which I have been telling you: hydrogenation, chlorination, ozonolysis, ammonolysis, nitration. How many I have told? 5. This row, tell me 5. Loudly, sulfonation, oxidation. Okay, good. This row. It will become increasingly difficult, but then I will again repeat, and maybe two more. Esterification. Huh? Esterification. Hydrolysis was. Array, somebody keep track. Huh? So two are correct. Next. Ammonolysis, which I told, of course, myself. Huh? Halogenation. Very good. Halogenation. So I told 3 or 4? 3. Hydrochlorination. Very good. Very nice. So halogenation and hydrohalogenation. So either chlorination, bromination, or hydrobromination, hydrochlorination. Yeah, that's right. Very good. 4. 5th. Neutralization. Yeah, that is correct. That's correct. Lot of products, they have acidity or alkalinity, and they need to be washed before packaging. And this is an important step, very important. If there is acidity or alkalinity, there is a stability problem for the product. So we have to be very careful. 5, this side. Bromination, it was said chlorination, therefore I accept bromination here. If it was said halogenation, then there is, okay, bromination. Next. Hydration, yeah, yes, hydration. Dehydrogenation. Dehydrogenation. So continue, no? The same. If there is hydrochlorination or hydrohalogenation, dehydrohalogenation. Remove necessary. Now one more. Aromatization. Yeah, very good. And then one more from this side, de-aromatization. Huh? Polymer. Very good, very good, very good. Excellent, excellent. Polymerization. This side, one. From today onwards, there is a ban on plastic, no? And we had to use the unit process of depolymerization, which is called pyrolysis. Alright, tell me pyrolysis. Combustion. Then water gas shift reaction. Gasification. Then, and like polymerization, we are forgetting fermentation. Such a big one. Huh? Cracking, yeah, of course, cracking. Then, hydrotreating, platforming, hydrodesulfurization. Yeah, right, hydrodesulfurization. So we know enough. So some of them, out of this, some of them are gas liquid, some of them are liquid, some of them are liquid solid. And I'm going to show you a list. But after gas liquid, we are now studying liquid, and we are again trying to use or examine the utility of stirred cell for understanding our step 1. So there is a light liquid, there is a heavy liquid, and we know nothing, and we have been given some liquid system, and we want to do the experiments. All right. The step 1 is, it is likely that the light liquid dissolves in heavy liquid and reaction occurs, or heavy liquid dissolves in light, or there is a likelihood that the reaction occurs in the light phase or it occurs in heavy phase. And we don't know. We know nothing. So out of this is also not known. So how to identify? What are the experiments that we should do to know the phase in which reaction is occurring. One who tells the price will be 500 rupees. Let me see whether I have 500 rupees. You think for, let me give you 2 minutes, but let me check whether I have 500 rupees. Yes, I think, yeah, I have 2000 also here. So if the answer is very good, I may give 2000. If the answer is okay, then I may give 100 rupees. What are the experiments that we should do? And what are the experiments, what is the possibility?
So we can take one phase in excess and just one drop and we can check the solution.
No, so use stirred cell. For 500 rupees, use stirred cell.
Change the impeller speed in both the phases.
So how do we understand? Change the speed. So keep one stationary, keep on changing the other one. Right. So how do we know?
If we change first stationary and move the second impeller, and if the rate increases with increasing impeller speed, then reaction takes place. And we can check in which phase the product is forming. First we'll have to set up a suitable regime and then do that.
So there are 3 answers.
So stop the impellers in both the phases, keep it for some time, and then check the concentration of product at each of the phase. Where the phase, the product is low, the concentration of the product is low, that be the phase where the reaction happens.
That's right. So that is one answer. Change the impeller speed individually in different phases. That was second answer. And third answer was? Product formation, in which? But we don't know, the product also may have solubility in the other, no? It need not remain there, right there. Yeah.
Check in which phase the temperature is increasing or decreasing.
Right, but it is impeller, no? Heat transfer will also occur. Correct, yeah.
So, but if we stop the impeller, the reaction will happen at the interface, or if there is some mixing, it will happen at a phase where one liquid is getting dissolved in the other one. So that is where, if let's say the heavier liquid has higher solubility in the lighter one, the reaction will happen in the lighter phase, right? So the concentration of the product in the lighter phase, if I don't have the impeller working, will be more. So that way we can check by switching off the impellers in both the phases.
Yeah.
If we move the impeller in the heavier phase, then the heavier phase will disperse into the lighter phase, and the other.
No, we don't want dispersion. Interface is flat. Yeah. That the primary condition of stirred cell has to be satisfied. Then only we know interfacial area, and then all the analysis written on the board, it holds. Otherwise, it doesn't hold.
With the passage of time, won't one volume decrease and the other one increase?
Density difference is there, of course, and therefore we have 2 phases. One is light, one is heavy.
Sir, the one in which the reaction is taking more, the initial, or whatever initial concentration we have of A and B, that will be less with time. So we will check for initial concentration of A and B in both the phases, and in which it will be less in that the reaction is taking. Because even though there are 2 different phases, but there will be an amount of B and amount of A in both of them. So we'll check for the initial concentration after a particular amount of time in both of them.
Right. Now let us see. I want more or less the answers are there, but I want one crispier answer. I'm not going to, if you don't give answer and if I give answer, I'm not going to collect any money, don't worry. Think about taking relative proportions. Suppose total volume is 1000 ml, you take 500, 500, take 400, 600, take 300, 700, take 200, 800, take 100, 900. What will happen?
So the reaction rate might reduce or increase depending on what you're reducing, what you're increasing.
Right. So that is also good idea, no? That is also good idea. So impeller speed in both the phases is a good idea. This is also good idea. The product, whatever is there, we should see relative solubility in each phase, whether it is insoluble in the other phase, or whether it has a high solubility, or whether there is any partition coefficient which can be measured. So the answer is given by many. I could distribute. How many people were there? 4 or 5? So you can take, or I can give a party, but I have given it already 10 minutes ago. Good idea is raise your hands. 5 people should raise their hands. One answer I have given. One answer I have given. Really. Raise straight. Door 2. I know those 3 people. Third. Array, while giving the answer, what were the answers? Otherwise, these 3. At least raise 1 so that I can divide 500. Don't make it 3. You gave some answer? Density difference was. But anyway, 3 of you come here. I will come down. Good. Very good. Very good. Now liquid is over. What is that I should do? Start from 1, correct? Keep impeller speed high in one of the phases so that resistance is not there. Keep on changing impeller speed. First of all, carry out this reaction. Try to find out whether it takes hours, whether it takes several minutes, few minutes, several seconds, or few seconds for 50% conversion. That is very easy. You do that. So whether you are closer to 1 or 2 or 2, 3 or 3, 4, we know it in advance. Do these experiments all over again. Change B naught, change A star. We know the phase in which reaction is occurring. We know the saturation concentration because of the partition coefficient. See the A star value, the phase in which it is occurring, we call it as B naught, call it as A star in the other phase, and find out M, find out N, find out Kmn, do the experiment at various temperatures, get activation energy, and analysis of liquid is over. Yeah.
The same rate valid for the liquid.
You tell me now, you tell me.
What should be the Z value taken for which?
Right. So out of the examples which we said just now, somebody said nitration. Who said nitration? Right, that is remaining. I said that. Okay. So do nitration of anything. You want to do that of benzene? Okay. So what is Z? Benzene plus nitric acid gives nitrobenzene. That is 1. Okay. Take some other reaction. Chlorination. Chlorination of benzene to give hexachlorobenzene. Huh? So benzene, but benzene chlorination, that is gas liquid. Still we can find Z, that is not a problem, but we are discussing liquid reaction. But still let us find out. A is called for gas phase reactive species. So this is 3 chlorine plus benzene, or 1 chlorine plus 1/3 benzene is equal to. Now you know Z. What is that? 1 by 3, right? Not 3. Take any other liquid where Z is other than 1. You have told me large number of examples. Hydrolysis, that was nice. Neutralization is also very nice. Saponification also. So take any ester and let us saponify. I think that experiment is done in the laboratory under kinetics. So ethyl acetate plus, is that the experiment? Ethyl acetate plus NaOH giving acetic acid plus sodium acetate plus ethyl alcohol. Huh? That is also one. All right.
If you have 2 COOH and
Huh.
big chain, adipic acid.
Adipic acid. So whenever you are capable of writing the stoichiometric equation, Z can be found out.
But for which species we should take? There are 2, both of them are liquid.
Right.
So both have.
So step 1 for which we have spent 500 rupees is, first of all, we find the phase in which the reaction occurs. That is B. The other is A. Why we gave so much importance? 500 rupees.
Can you repeat?
All right. We know, yeah, sure. We know the phase in which reaction is occurring. Either it is light phase or heavy phase. So other phase is dissolving in this phase and reaction is occurring. So call the other phase which is coming to this phase as A, where the reaction occurs, call it as B. Correct, no? That's right. I want to declare that liquid is over. But then any number of doubts you tell me. And I will use same model contactors. Laminar jet is possible for liquid, rotating drum is possible for liquid. All those contactors are possible for liquid. And the methodology is the same, exactly the same. Any other doubt? You make a separate note for yourself. I can give you homework. I don't have that kind of time. Usually I give homework also. I have about 40 sets of observations for gas liquid and liquid. And from that list of observations, how to identify the regime in which reaction prevails and how to write the overall rate. But I don't have time, because I can give you those examples, that is very easy, but I don't have time to correct this year.
Distribute the 40 lecture notes.
40 lecture, are they available now? Some, it was, Ganesham, this is, it is available? Okay. So this will be, just talk to the professional, what is the quality, or you see yourself. If anybody will understand, everybody will understand. So that is not. Okay. So the home assignment I give normally is if reaction occurs in both the phases. I had drawn concentration profiles in first regime, second regime, third regime and fourth regime. All right. Now if the reaction is occurring in both the phases, just draw concentration profiles. That is the home assignment. Okay. And now let us go to the solid liquid or solid gas. What is the form in which those lectures are available now? We'll discuss separately. Solid liquid. At present, I am solving two problems. One is of atomic energy, one is of private industry. The private industry wants to dissolve golden ornaments and silver ornaments in nitric acid and get gold nitrate and silver nitrate and do electrolysis to get back pure gold. Right? So, anyway, it is a reaction between nitric acid and gold, dissolution. In atomic energy, when the fission reaction occurs, there is a certain life for nuclear material, typically 1 year, and after 1 year, all those fuel rods are taken away, taken out of the reactor, and we need to isolate the products. So, the products are, if uranium is there as a fuel, uranium gets converted to plutonium and large number of lanthanides and actinides. So, that lanthanides and actinides, these are separated by, first of all, liquid-liquid extraction followed by chromatographic separation. But the first step is take the nuclear rod out, chip it into pieces, and solid liquid reaction, dissolve it again in nitric acid. So, solid liquid reaction. Right? So, dissolutions are, and these dissolutions are widely used in hydrometallurgical operations. Whenever we get ore, we do this step of dissolution. In hydrometallurgy, if it is pyrometallurgy, then those are gas solid reactions. In hydrometallurgy, these are liquid solid reactions. So, see, aluminum process you know by now. What is done? What is the first step? What is the first step in aluminum industry? Bauxite. That is a nice correct word. What is done with the bauxite? Leaching is done. So, leaching is a solid liquid reaction. Leaching, whenever we say leaching, is a solid reaction. There are variety of names given to different unit operations. You can call it as leaching, but it is basically a solid liquid reaction. If you take monazite sand, then there is some titanium, some aluminum, some iron, and thorium also, small quantity of thorium. So, you either dissolve or by pyrometallurgical operation, you try to reduce in the atmosphere of hydrogen or carbon monoxide. So, that is gas solid. That is gas solid. Carbochlorination. Suppose you get TiO2, which is present, or Al2O3. So, Al2O3 plus carbon plus chlorine, and if the sand is a mixture of titanium, iron, and aluminum, you carbochlorinate, carbon plus chlorine, you get aluminum chloride, titanium chloride, and iron chloride, FeCl3, TiCl4, and LCl3. There is a huge difference in boiling point. You separate them, distill them, all the three, and make them pure, and carry out electrolysis after that, and separate electrolytic cells for aluminum, titanium. Why I am telling this to you in detail? Because I am actively involved in this, developing this process, particularly titanium. There is no titanium technology in our country just now. So, there are large number of challenges. To tell you truth, practically there is no Indian technology. You will be surprised to know that there are large number of refineries, there are 22. If you want to establish 23rd, then we buy technology from outside. We do not learn from whatever is. There are 75 fertilizer plants, 76 is to be established, we buy again technology. All defense equipment, if you have read Times of India of day before yesterday, all the defense equipment we buy, all of them. And you must have read in newspapers, the Canadian Prime Minister came, prior to that, Israel Prime Minister came, then France Prime Minister came. What do? The first one made a deal of 80,000 crores. The second one, Mr. Putin had come last year, 2 lakh crores. Externally, what do we read? They mix with children, they mix with Adivasis, they dance. That's what we read in the newspaper. Huh? But basically, all these countries make us customers. So from this teacher, the message to you is think about it. Are we not capable? What is that they are doing? And here is an example. Mr. Patil and Madhur are here. I told you there are 300 types of reactors, and they have developed expertise in 3 types, which they are exporting to Europe and satisfying it. And trying to expand to few more. Even if we can do 1 in lifetime, that will be so satisfying, you will be smiling all the time. People will call you mad. Actually, we should be totally mad. If at all we want to do something creative, it's a good idea to be mad. What is there? What is bad? Keep on smiling. You are internally happy. So the real message of my lecture series is try to understand the problems of our society. Take one of them, find the solution, including, suppose it is sweet sorghum or any plant, soybean, take any one. Consider it as a reactor, find out what is the rate controlling step, what is the overall rate of reaction, and can we increase the productivity per hectare. And there is a huge possibility. On an average, we are producing 1/3 as compared to world. Right? Coming back to solid liquid, right now I am very busy with gold, silver, uranium, plutonium, lanthanides and actinides. So let us take that case and how to analyze solid liquid. Let us do that. So again, we use film theory. The only difference is no film is formed on the solid side because it is not fluid. When it is solid liquid side, then there is a film on the liquid side. If it is solid gas, there is a film on gas side. Right? There can be porous, but not a film. Because of no slip boundary condition at the solid surface, the gas can enter only by diffusion inside, and it cannot form, and till the center of the particle it can diffuse. So there is nothing like an isolated film, right, in a particle. So there is a solid, is a customary to represent solid like this. And there is a liquid film. Let us call the saturation solubility of the solid as say C star. And call this as B naught. So in regime 1, we have seen that if there is a C star, and then in the bulk also we were expressing it as A star, and B naught is also available throughout. And that is regime 1. B naught C naught is equal to 0, where this is C star. This is R1, regime 1, this is regime 2. B naught Now we need model contactor for this, and let us see. Imagine this as a model contactor. These four, these are cages where both the sides of the cage there is a wire gauze, wire screen on both the sides, and the particles, the solid particles are kept in all these four cages. Have you understood? This is an impeller having 4 cages. We are calling cage because the wire screen is on both the sides in which particles are kept. Good part of solid liquid or solid gas is the solid particle surface area can be calculated. That is a good part. Whereas drops and bubbles, it is very difficult, impossible. So therefore, we make use of model contactor. So this is used, so this was proposed by Professor Carberry from MIT, therefore called Carberry reactor. Therefore called Carberry reactor. So this is kept, you imagine a vessel in which there is a nitric acid, right, and then you chop the particles. Exactly this is the way in which my students in atomic energy, they are investigating the dissolution of spent fuel, right. So it is chopped in such a way that it can fit it in this cage nicely, and in a container of 2 liters, you make this as a stirrer, put particles, and first of all find out how much time is required for 50% conversion. Hours, several minutes, few minutes, several seconds, few seconds, so that you know the order of whether you are here, here, here or here. Typically it is known. After having known that, then what is to be seen? What is to be seen? Find out the overall rate, yeah. Find the overall rate and try to bring it in either regime 1 or regime 3. Either you try to bring it here or bring it here. Find out M and N, find out Kmn, do dissolution at various temperatures, get rate constants. Knowing these 3 and interfacial area and mass transfer coefficient and hold up. For the case of solid, getting hold up is very simple. Volume occupied by solid particles, that can be easily calculated. So that part is simple. Interfacial area is also simple. Yeah, right. So you write down all those equations every 5 minutes.
Surface area we have to calculate.
Calculate every 5 minutes. Yes.
Very cumbersome.
For cumbersome for a person who is getting initiated, but one who is dissolving and trying to recover plutonium, and we know that our country doesn't have plutonium, he feels that this is a very easy, nice job. All right? There is no plutonium in the country. Correct? Right. Then we find all the terms, find out which condition is satisfied, and then either we are in between 1 and 2, or 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, find the overall rate of reaction. So we know exactly when it is solid liquid or solid gas, how to find the rate controlling step and how to estimate the overall rate of reaction. Is that clear? Any number of questions.
For porous particle, how do we proceed?
For porous particles, I think there is nice one more dimension, that is, in that case the reaction occurs on the external surface as well as the nitric acid diffuses inside and some dissolution occurs, correct? So whether the reaction is internal diffusion controlled, external diffusion controlled, or reaction controlled. So this is the, so in order to identify this, we need to have help of one more parameter, and which is particle size, So if there is a, if you change the particle size, the porosity changes, the distance between the center and surface, it changes, and you make it finer and finer, and there is a particle size below which there is no effect of particle size, and eliminate internal mass transfer. Eliminate external mass transfer by changing the impeller speed of Carberry reactor and make it totally reaction controlled.
Can put powder on this
Powder, that is, we, if we need to go to powder for that purpose, normally there is no need, but if powder is there, then we use another type of reactor, which I will explain in few minutes. But internal diffusion can be taken care of, right? Yeah. Any other question? I am going very fast. I explained gas liquid in detail when I came to liquid liquid, and now solid liquid. I am moving fast. There is a possibility that instead of C dissolving into liquid, there is a reaction on the surface, and B naught is here. How to identify such a case and how to analyze this such a case, and another 500 rupees.
mostly catalyst reaction are like this.
Now let us take catalytic reaction little later. Now this is solid fluid where solid undergoes chemical reaction.
CaO plus SO4 gives there is accumulation of mass on
The either because of the reaction product is there and product deposits, or it swells, or it swells. What is an excellent example of swelling with respect to time?
CaO plus SO4 gives CaSO4.
Yeah. But there is a widespread example. Everybody knows. Corrosion. That is right. But there is very well known example. Every house has it. Huh? Alum is there. But cooking of rice. Cooking of lentil. Water comes and the reaction is called gelatinization and it swells. Right? So it's known to everybody, no? So how to, the point now is whether C is dissolving or whether we have B profile like this, how to recognize. It is exactly similar to the phase in which the reaction occurs.
So we can vary the particle size of the solvent.
Uh-huh.
Larger particles have a lower solubility and smaller particles have a higher solubility.
Uh-huh.
So in the second case, the solubility of solid in the liquid won't matter. So if the reaction rate doesn't vary with particle size, then we can conclude that the reaction is occurring on the solid surface.
Yeah. Actually, the saturation concentration, the value of C star, you are meaning that, no? That C star saturation solubility is always independent of particle size. That is a thermodynamic value. Correct, no? But the answer, that effort is excellent, excellent. Just think little more.
Can't you change the film thickness by introducing some turbulence in the liquid side?
Uh-huh.
The film thickness will reduce,
Can reduce
and
it.
the gradient will change.
Uh-huh.
If the productivity changes with respect to gradient, then we can say that the liquid is getting diffused into solid phase.
Right, right, right. But what we want really, whether this is happening or this is happening. Correct, no? As you increase the impeller speed in the liquid, this film will go down. So this can also reduce or this can also reduce. Both possibilities are there.
Vary the temperature,
Uh-huh.
because the saturation solubility will vary with temperature.
Right,
So,
right.
like you said, then the effect of we should not see the effect of temperature.
Yeah, but I would agree that anything related to solubility, all the efforts related to solubility is a good idea. It's a good idea. So when there is a sparing solubility, when C star has a lower value, then only there is a possibility of B naught coming to C star and reaction occurring. If there is a good value of C star, but these are qualitative statements. Can we write an equation? 10 times. But what is 10 times more than what? Solid and?
Solubility of the solid and liquid
Huh.
as compared to the
Very good, very good. So the rate of mass transfer of B naught to the surface and rate of mass transfer from C star. So basically mass transfer coefficient of C multiplied by C star, this is to be compared with mass transfer coefficient of B multiplied by B naught. Compare the values and see which one is the rate controlling. Whatever is the small, that will be the rate controlling. So whom should I give the prize? Array, be enthusiastic. I'll give 5 seconds. Array, come. You also come. Come. It was a good attempt. You also come. And there was one. You also come. Did you come earlier? No. Provided I have money, huh? Some problem. So it so happens that the price is 2,000 now. Otherwise, I don't have 500. So the price is little come. Count this money remaining because I need to honor the other opinion. So raise your hands. Should I give 2000 raise your hands or 335? Okay. So that is it. Array, you distribute properly. I am giving some number. That's nice. Very, I liked it. So this is how we try to analyze at every point in the equipment. We try to see what is the value of A star, what is the value of B naught, what is the value of epsilon L, what is the value of K min, which is known from the activation energy, try to find out. And from point to point, we estimate the overall rate of reaction, which is very useful for second step, that is the process design, which I am not teaching, which is not teaching. Do you have any difficulty up till now? I have not shown you the examples of industrial importance. I will show you gas liquid, liquid liquid, large number of examples. Are they there? Are they? Huh? After this or before this? No. I did not explain to you the other contactors. I said that for powder, I will explain you something. So here, if you see the reactor on the right side, there is a delta weight, maybe 1 gram or maybe 0.5 grams. There are screens on both the sides and a quantity is kept, right? And then the either liquid phase or gas phase flows across the solid particles and there is a chemical reaction. What additional provision is made is part of the product is recycled back, and there are two reasons that permits the variation of velocity over a wide range. Suppose this velocity is 1 centimeter per second, we can recycle and get 1 centimeter per second, 5 centimeter per second, 10 centimeter per second, all those values are possible. That is one thing. The second one is conversion per pass can be kept limited. If you plot conversion with respect to time and in one pass 60% conversion occurs, it is difficult to analyze right now. How to calculate the slope for the rate? Rate is dCA by dt basically, and that is difficult. Therefore, we try to keep conversions less than 5%, and therefore, it is called differential reactor. So, on its own, if it gives 4-5% conversion, then it is okay. But then also in this manner, changing the gas velocity over a wide range is difficult, and therefore recycle is practiced. This is very simple like stirred cell, even simpler than stirred cell. And you, so we are packing particles inside. The particles are known. You don't know how to measure surface area of particles? For anything, any solid phase, you can do BET. There is a possibility to measure external surface, there is a possibility to measure the internal porosity and internal surface. Mercury porosimetry, have you heard of that? BET apparatus, have you heard of that? Nitrogen adsorption and so maybe you learn more through the net, try to find out and get the information related to surface area if it is powder. But if these are particles, then we measure particle size distribution, and then there are several apparatus, laser based, laser scattering based, and there are quite a few principles for measuring particle size distribution, from which we calculate area. We try to keep under this condition the narrow size distribution, not very wide. but not that we need that, because we are solving industrial problem, no? They are distributed. So if they are distributed, we take 10 cuts out of that and do experiments with every cut.
Mostly they are porous in industry.
There may be, may not be. There's both likely. So we should assume that we should not assume anything. We know nothing. We know nothing. As it comes, we can take it up. Then there is this is called Berti reactor, a professor from Chicago. As you can see, there is an impeller at the bottom, and this impeller design it is in such a way that it is upflow in this region, and downward where there is a void, it comes down and it basically recirculates. Can you imagine this? There is a cylindrical vessel, there is an annular portion in which there is nothing, and within the annular portion the solid particles are kept, all right. And the impeller design is in such a way that the upflow occurs in the annular region and downflow occurs in the central void, and it is called a Berti reactor. Use that equipment, find out time for 50%, few hours, several minutes, few minutes, several seconds, few seconds. That is the first set of reaction. Then go further. You know now. Yes? No, you don't know. One more party, one more. Yes, do you know now? Yes, sir. Very good. Yeah. So these are the typical equipment. There is nothing other than these three: a pipeline reactor, a Berti reactor, or Carberry reactor. So let me show you now examples. So I told you with the recycle, but there is a diagram available with the recycle. If you can see, there is a recycle loop here. And for the reactions which are very slow, then you don't worry about it. That is, anyway, in 4-5 minutes, not much reaction is going to happen. 2-3% conversion is a possibility. So take a simple stirred reactor and keep solid phase inside. See to it that all the particles are suspended properly, and measure the concentration of liquid phase with respect to time, and that will give you the rate. But the methodology is exactly identical. But that is useful only for very slow reactions. So you read Professor Sharma's book, and these are the examples given there. Gas liquid. Now he has classified all these examples which fall in regime 1, and gas liquid, air oxidation. Should I read? You will be able to see. Just see that how many examples are there. Air oxidation of variety of aliphatic and aromatic compounds, toluene to benzoic acid, and yesterday I told you paraxylene to terphthalic acid, that is also oxidation. Alcohol, ethyl alcohol to acetaldehyde, acetaldehyde to acetic acid or acetic anhydride. Air oxidation of paranitrotoluene sulfonic acid, so that toluene group goes to COOH. Then chlorotoluene to corresponding acids. These are intermediates for pharmaceutical products. Substitution chlorination of organic compounds, that is benzene plus that is substitution, you know what is the meaning of substitution reaction. The chlorobenzene, that is in fast, but having chlorobenzene made, adding second atom of chlorine, that comes to slow. Third chlorine is very slow, right? That is the chlorine. So, the next one, hydrochlorination, absorption of phosphine, acetic acid from carbonylation of methanol. So, you take methanol, which is CH3OH, introduce CO, and you make CH3COH, which is a slow reaction. Dimerization of olefins, very slow but liquid. Alkaline hydrolysis of variety of organic compounds, nitration of chlorobenzene, alkylation of benzene, reduction of aromatic nitro compounds to corresponding aromatic amines, but this is to be done with sodium sulfide as reducing agent. So, I will go fast. This will be I think let us circulate. Are you having a common mail? You got it already, very nice. So, have you read them before coming? At least number of pages you know? Yeah, good. The regime between first and second. So, somebody has done this job of stud cell, and this information is compiled from the published literature. Right. Some of them of course were done in this laboratory. Liquid, fast reactions, gas liquid, fast reactions, gas liquid, fast reactions, liquid. So, maybe now read something, manufacture of dithiocarbanates, manufacture of cyclohexyl enzyme, nitration of toluene, extraction of metals, alkaline hydrolysis of the formate esters and acetic acid esters. Regime overlapping 1, 2, 3. Regime 4, gas liquid systems, absorption of CO2. Where absorption of CO2 is important? You have studied this. Two well-known examples, urea, very good, urea. So, whenever we do any water gas shift reaction with any carbon source, we get CO2, because for endothermicity we need to provide oxygen. So, you get CO2, CO and hydrogen. We remove CO2 first and then use carbon monoxide and hydrogen as a synthesis gas as further. So, that is good. But whatever natural gas we get from the nature, that also has CO2. So, removal of CO2, CO2 as you know is acidic when it is dissolved in water. So, the process is called, that unit process is called sweetening. In chemical engineering it is called sweetening, right. So, it is as if that pure methane that we get is sweet as compared to the whatever we get from the nature, which has carbon dioxide, which is acidic. And there are another perfumery chemical. You start from phenol and do carboxylation, enter CO2 at meta position, you get salicylic acid. From salicylic acid you carry out reaction with acetic anhydride and make it acetyl salicylic acid, that is aspirin. Same as paracetamol, similar means, yeah. But if you react with benzyl chloride, it becomes a nice perfume, excellent perfume. And I have designed a plant for 20 tons per day of perfume. Imagine 20 tons per day of perfume. For us, was it in regime 1, regime 2, let it be perfume or aspirin or anything. As far as we are concerned, we want to design it in an optimum manner with complete understanding. So, some more examples. I think this should be good enough. Gas liquid systems, liquid reactions which are instantaneous, regime between 3 and 4, liquid systems, gas liquid system, gas solid systems. You go through that. A large number of examples. Calcination, acid leaching of bornite, ammonical leaching of nickel, leaching of copper sulfide. So, as I have promised, there are 200 examples, more than 200 examples, all right. These are industrial examples of commercial importance, but the assumption of we know nothing is still holds, right. So, whatever comes in front of us, we think afresh and employ the procedure, whatever we have studied yesterday and today, get overall rate of reaction, complete the step 1, but with respect to the range of parameters which are being covered in the reactor at all the locations in the equipment, that you confirm all the time. Right? Having done that, then we can find the overall performance. Depending upon, of course, we also need to know how much is back mixing inside the equipment and whether we can find the concentration profiles, but that is the subject of process design. So, if you take it from those 40 lectures, that is also a good idea. Okay? Yeah.
We had many examples for different regimes, but we saw that we can shift the regime by
Yeah.
changing the operating
Yeah.
condition.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. You can more or less say that as stated and as practiced in industry, it falls in this regime. But your statement is more correct, that we can take it to 3, we can take it to 2.
Then how do we decide in which regime we want to operate? The maximum
Now this is an, I like this question, and if I would not have covered this particular point, then that would have been an error. There is an error. And this is now the third time I am explaining the same point. We want to take a decision, right? Either we know the parameter for which we wish to take a decision, or some vendor supplying the equipment, supplying the raw material, he tells and gives us some ideas, or our friend or colleague gives idea, our owner gives some ideas. How to take a decision? In this case, which regime we should be selecting? What particle size we should be selecting? Whether we should be crushing and grinding, make smaller particles and enhance the rate of reaction for making the reaction fast and miniaturize the reactor size. Crushing and grinding is the most energy consuming unit operation. Do you know that only for crushing and grinding, 7% of the world's energy we employ only for crushing and grinding? 7% of the energy. And including, of course, what is the well-known crushing, well-known grinding that we need? Yeah. Wheat. Somebody said, who said wheat? Wheat, yeah. So wheat is popular in urban areas, but then the sorghums and there are many other. So that is also grinding. But in metallurgical operation, there are plenty grinding operations. Okay. So what should be the particle size in which we should operate, regime we should operate, all right? What should be the reaction temperature? How much percentage excess of any one chemical we should be using? There are variety of decisions we need to, variety of occasions where we need to take a decision. And I told you. Suppose we want to take a decision, now if it is between 2 and 3, we can take to 2, we can take to 1, we can take to totally to 3, or between 3 and 4. So what is going to happen? What is going to happen? So you can take to 2 from 3, for which what is that you will do? Increase the RPM, increase KL, try to reduce root M, try to reduce enhancement factor, and overall rate will reduce, all right, and the reactor will become big. So what is the decision? Huh? Right. So whether we should be going to 2 or not. We are supplying more power, we are going to regime 2, and we are reducing the rate, and we are increasing the size of the reactor. So from the power side also we are spending, from the reactor size also we are spending. So the one particular path is blocked. Don't go to 2 and 1, try to go to 3. Then why not 3? Then why not 3? So when there is direction is established and we want to get 3, then in that case we again calculate for getting 3 we need to spend anything. You please remember, nothing is free in this world. Do you know this already? There is nothing free. So if you want to reduce the power consumption, if you want to reduce reactor size, if you want to reduce the time for commercialization, if you want to do something which is beneficial to you, you need to spend. And you need not spend only when you become knowledgeable. So the country supersedes only when the population, the general population is knowledgeable, right? So with knowledge, most of the resistances, they get reduced. We really know what exactly we should be doing for a particular case. But generally, nothing is free, so we estimate what quantity the monetary we calculate for power consumption, how much money we are spending, for capital cost, how much we are spending, whether it is there are some safety related issues, pollution, though that should be given utmost importance, whether there is a safety related issue. By doing this, by bringing it to third regime, is there safe operation by enhancing the rate of reaction, and whether byproducts are forming by increasing the temperature, so that there is a pollution problem. After having considered these, then we can see, we can carry out the economic analysis, the financial analysis, and take decision on the basis of that. Does it answer? Right. I did not expect that I would cover in 2 sessions. I thought that I would need one more. So you are excellent students. With that note, I think we will close today. Yeah.